Could Reading residents soon be paying more at the register? A 1% sales tax increase is on the table, and the big question is, what would it really mean for our city and for your wallet? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Rooted in Reading. I'm Faith Barrett, your local guide to everything here in Redding, California. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and comment below your thoughts on today's topic, which is all about this new proposed 1% sales tax. As always, we share weekly updates about Redding and the housing market as a whole, so let's dive in. Now, before I get into the topic today, I want to be clear, I am not a politician, and this isn't meant to be a political post, but from the research I've done and the information available right now, this is simply my understanding of what is on the table, and my goal is to give you a little bit of a framework to better understand the proposal and how it could affect Redding, so that as a community, we can all be more informed. I also hope to interview soon different voices in our community on this topic, because trust me, there are well more diverse people in this topic than me as a citizen just reading news articles and gathering information. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, Redding is facing a budget deficit of about $5 million, and that has sparked big conversations about how to keep the city financially stable while maintaining essential services. There are a few reasons for this shortfall. Sales and hotel tax revenues have been stagnant, personal costs, especially in the police and fire, keep climbing, and those two departments alone make up nearly 85% of the city's general fund. To avoid layoffs, the city has relied on attrition, leaving some positions unfilled, which saves money but also reduces services. And with limited flexibility in the budget, plus economic pressures across California, it's honestly just been a challenge to balance the books. So what exactly is being proposed? Well, this November, voters will decide on a citizen-led ballot initiative that would raise Redding's sales tax from 7.25% to 8.25%. If it passes, it's expected to generate about $30 million a year. What makes this different is that it's structured as a special tax. That means the money is legally required to be used only for the purposes listed in the measure. Allocations include about $9 million for roads and transportation, and about $3.6 million each for Redding's police department and the Shasta Sheriff's Office, nearly $4 million for the fire department, and then $2.7 million for parks, and the remainder of $1.5 million for the airport. Additional funds would go to the Civic Auditorium, the Redding Rodeo Grounds, and the riverfront facilities. The money would stay here locally in Redding, placed in a special account with independent audits and a citizen advisory committee providing oversight. So that's kind of how that varies with this being a special tax. Now, if we look at other cities, right now, Redding's 7.25% sales tax rate is on the lower end in California. If this passes, the rate would go to 8.25%, right in line with places like Bakersfield and Oceanside. Many cities across the state are already between 9 and 10%, so Redding would still be in the lower to middle range. Now, let's face it, what does this actually mean for you if you're living here in Redding? Well, a 1% increase means one extra penny on every dollar spent. So let's say a household spends about $30 a day on taxable purchases, things like dining out, clothes, or furniture. Since groceries, diapers, and feminine products are exempt, at the current 7.25%, the daily sales tax would be right around $2.18. At 8.25%, it would be about $2.48, so that's roughly 30 cents more per day, $9 more per month, and around $110 more per year. Now, proponents argue this would directly benefit the community by improving public safety, strengthening emergency responses, maintaining parks, and funding much needed road and infrastructure work. They also emphasize that roughly 60% of sales tax revenue in Redding is generated by visitors, people coming here to shop, stay in hotels, or use services. That means a large share of the cost wouldn't really fall on local households who are expected expected to see an average impact of just, like I said, $5 to $7 per month. And a big thing to emphasize is, unlike the base sales tax, which is shared with the state, all of the money from this new 1% would stay right here in Reading. Now, on the flip side, opponents raise concerns that this measure would still add to the everyday cost of living, and while out-of-town visitors may cover a majority of the revenue, locals would still feel the increase each time they make taxable purchases, and over the course of a year, those extra costs definitely can add up. Now, critics also point out that sales tax tend to hit lower income families harder since they spend more of their income on goods that are taxable. There's also the question of timing and logistics. Holding a special election is expected to cost between $300,000 and $500,000, and some city council members are worried that the turnout might be lower compared to a regular election. Even if the tax passes, it won't take effect until April of 2026, so it won't do anything to solve the current year's budget shortfall. Finally, there is some debate over whether the planned allocations really reflect the community's priorities. Now, while the ballot measures spell out percentages for roads, safety, and parks, not all the residents agree with that distribution. Some believe more should be directed to public safety, others to infrastructure, and so on. And historically, Reading voters have been hesitant to approve new taxes, with past efforts failing at the ballot box. So what happens if this fails? Well, if voters decide against the increase, the $5 million shortfall will remain. That could mean more cuts to city services, slower emergency response times, fewer resources for parks, and delays or cancellations of needed projects like road repairs and new fire stations. The city may have to rely more heavily on attrition, layoffs, or borrowing options that aren't sustainable long-term. Declining services could also create more frustration and erode trust in local government. Now, one of the biggest factors in this debate is trust. Recently, City Council member Tanessa Audet released a 152-page budget findings document questioning some of the city's practices and projections. Now, I will say I have not read through the entire document myself, but I do know it has sparked a lot of discussion and raised questions from the community about transparency. Now, City Manager Barry Tippin and some of the staff have strongly pushed back, saying the city's finances are transparent, responsibly managed, and that by law, this tax revenue could only be spent on the categories spelled out in the measure. Right now, I will say from reading comments and different things, it does feel a little bit like he said, she said. You know, Tanessa feels like the budget has been mismanaged, and, you know, this person says it hasn't. So it will be really interesting to see how all of this plays out. But the thing is clear, public confidence is going to be critical. Voters will need to feel assured that this money will be used exactly as promised if the measure is going to pass. And as this unfolds, I will keep you informed both about the tax measure itself and how the city responds to the questions being raised through Tanessa's 152-page document questioning about the transparency of the city's budget. So where does that leave us? So the proposed 1% sales tax could provide major funding for Reading safety, roads, and community services, but it does come with cost and plenty of debate. This upcoming special election will be a big moment for Reading's future, and I will definitely keep you posted as more unfolds for our area. Thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of Rooted in Reading, where we not only help you find a home, but a community to thrive in. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and comment below, especially if you are living here in Reading, what your thoughts are around this proposed sales tax. We will catch you next week.